The small business journey has a few popular canvases that set the stage for the entire story. There is a girl, she has a dream. She makes her first steps, makes her dream come true. Was it the same for me? People assume that making a cosplay studio was my dream, and okay, it makes sense. I started cosplaying when I was 15, and that was my biggest passion. First of all, because of people. I think that was the first time when I got a feeling of being okay, an important feeling that I've been mentioning previously. By the way, all these pictures were done at event in Donetsk before 2014, and looking at them right now feels low-key surrealistic. But I have never thought about cosplay as a career. Furthermore, I didn't see myself in any kind of creative field. I tried to enroll in the art academy, yet quickly realized that I barely enjoy endless practice with drawing geometrical objects. Don't get me wrong, practice is essential for artists, but it's also essential to enjoy the process if you want to succeed in a certain field. So I decided to follow the steps of my mother and choose a law degree. I plan to retire from cosplay as soon as I will get my master's degree. At that moment, that was predictable. There were not many adult people in the cosplay community, so I believe that cosplay is not a hobby for real adults. So why did I change plans so drastically? Well, the truth is that I had to face a new reality. Ukraine is suddenly on the front page of global newspapers. A country forgotten by the world, mostly known as that, wait, aren't you part of Russia? Is now making headlines for something else entirely. A revolution. A people's uprising that forced a Russian-backed authoritarian leader to flee. Later, these events would be known as the Revolution of Dignity. It started as a peaceful protest back in 2013, a demand to continue Ukraine's movement towards the European Union, not to be dragged back into customs union with the Russian Federation. The government responded with the force far beyond the boundaries of law, and the line between order and oppression was shattered. And in the end, this led to the downfall of the authoritarian regime. This reloaded the rules that had been functioning in society before, and an attack by Russia, which started in 2014, hurt our economy a lot, shaping a new reality for all Ukrainians. I was 21 when the revolution happened. Like other young people, we gathered at the Maidan Nezalezhnosti, asking for justice and fighting against oppression. I remember how my peaceful Kyiv was covered in smoke, and blood shimmered here and there on the streets of the city. I remember the central place, covered in fire. I didn't realize that this fire had been burned in my prominent, safe corporate future. In 2013, fresh uni graduate could get around 300 hryvnias per month, which was around $400. However, in 2014, the same 3,000 hryvnias transformed into $120 that didn't cover any basic needs. Yeah, this was salary for an entry-level position. Yes, I was in a position of privilege where my family was able to cover my needs while I could focus on my career. But here is the thing, law wasn't my passion. I just wanted stability, but it vanished with the economy. I kept hoping that maybe the right workplace would change that. At that moment, I needed money. Yes, my family was able to support me, but I wanted to stand on my feet as soon as possible. So I started to sell anything that had been associated with so-called childhood activities. Cosplay matched this description perfectly. Furthermore, I even remember how I decided to do that. I got a call from one of my acquaintances asking if they could use my Merida pictures in their Etsy store. I declined that offer, yet decided to check the platform by myself, and then realized that I can sell my costumes there and get a fair price for them. I've been doing that during my first practice at a law company. At that moment, I started to understand that it's hard for me to fit into corporate law world. Still remember how I went into the office with my jeans and Martens on and met a girl dressed in an elegant suit and high heels. On that moment, I got a thought that I don't even have high heels. That was a gut feeling that it might be hard for me to fit in. But I guess I was familiar with this feeling. So I poured my passion into creation of my first ever Etsy store and selling of my cosplay costume. I still remember my first sale. That was Marida's dress. I sold it for $350, which was around 2 of my salaries on that moment. I was so proud of myself. I called my mom and told her that I just got $350 for one of my costumes. Mom congratulated me, but I heard her being skeptical. Now I know why. And I'm grateful that she tried to hide the skeptics in her voice. Costumes were sold. I got some money that I'll be able to use while looking for my best in adult life. It was time to me to say goodbye to my cosplay journey. Until someone messaged me on Etsy asking, "Hey, I actually love my married dress. I just wanted to ask, do you actually take commissions?" That wasn't a dream, but it was an opportunity that I felt passionate about. And this is where my business journey began. Yes, there was one serious issue. One thing is doing cosplay for yourself. Doing costume for others is a completely different kind of story. In your own costume, you can excuse a messy seam or a weird pattern, but for a commission piece, you have to deliver quality. You have a certain standard. You need to know technology, you need to make a proper pattern, you need to have a proper knowledge about costume construction. So after a few commissions, I decided to talk with some of my friends, professional props making. At that moment, an average price of costume commission in Ukraine was around $30 to $50, which made sense for the overall economy. Yet worldwide, we were able to offer better prices and make the work of creator valuable. So we agreed to work in a team where they took care of production and I took care of management and marketing. And there was my first mistake. I didn't form any actual salary or something like that. I just slapped in a 30% margin from the original price of the production, being sure that this is the honest price and it will cover all my essential needs. This margin had to cover my platform fees, taxes, amortization, refunds, and my own working hours. I've been working on my own with the help of my boyfriend, but I didn't understand that I was just breaking even, if not getting losses. Now I know that 30% margin can work only for very big companies with massive sale or for very, very pricey project. And still, it feels for me now as some kind of miracle. On that moment, with our actual sizes and our actual flow, we were slowly falling in cash flow gap without even noticing it. And I mean, right now it feels obvious. We weren't able to expand, weren't able to hire new people, and we had 12-hour shifts with pretty rare weekends. And meanwhile, I got a feeling that in these 12 hours, I've been doing nothing, because my part was dedicated to management, administration, finances, and marketing. But I feel that this topic requires a different kind of video, as it can be quite long and maybe slightly painful. After 3 years in this business, I randomly found myself at 2 a.m. remaking a costume from one of our partners, and it was partly messed up, probably due to short production time. And I think it was the first time when I got an idea of setting up our own production studio. Many people imagine a cosplay studio as some kind of cute business, fancy workshop, polished stools, pretty costumes coming to life. This is something you may imagine for a costume studio with a price tag quite below average, right? And we completely didn't fit into this expectation. Cosplay production, especially props making, is quite a toxic production, so you can rent a room in an office building. That's how it happened in this building, which you can see in my videos. I remember how ashamed I felt in the beginning. I've been thinking that in future we're gonna rent some fancy place that will feel into the vibe of cute small business. Yet time passed, we grew up, and now I have a feeling that this place have a perfect vibe for a kind of companies that we run now. If you ask me about other advice related to my business, I would say always choose your partners wisely. I was familiar with the idea that running a business with creative people is hard until we met Munka. She was one of the people who shaped the studio into the companies that you know today. She crushed the stereotypes that creative people are always messy and can be disciplined and organized. Furthermore, she was the one who brought the idea of being clear with intentions and always vocalize any kind of issues or concerns. With your words, through your mouth, that was her phrase, and I still use it in communication with the team. The story of the production and studio began in 2018. We started as a small company that included 6 people, and today our production includes over 30 various specialists. We still operate in this massive building, which I was so ashamed of, and now it's my favorite place with an amazing rooftop and unforgettable sunsets. We went through COVID, through full-scale invasion, through blackouts, and a variety of personal dramas. Yes, it was quite a journey, and I am willing to share it as much as possible within the next video. I'd be glad if you could help me and give some ideas that I could talk about, because, as you already understood, I'm quite a certified yapper. So yeah, cosplay studio never was my big dream, and I've never prepared myself for this kind of job. I think that for me played a chance that I spotted and my natural interest in business and clear purpose that I enjoy, making people happy. Some people may call me loser, as within 10 years I am still running a small business despite our growth. But in the world of sprinters, I'm willing to walk and enjoy my journey. If you enjoyed my story, please like and comment this video so I will know that it's worth to keep telling this story. I wish you to find your own pleasant journey where you'll be able to achieve the biggest goals that we all look in our professional path. Because for me, it always will be fun.